Welcome back to episode 6, I think, of Kerbal Space Program Conflicted Space. I'm your host, Wrath, and let's get into it. So, after the failed mission from Draxx Corp, where their unmanned mining probe failed to successfully land due to poor mission planning, they attempted to land it basically on a mountain, and it was a terribly botched landing, and the vehicle was mostly destroyed. They've gone back to the design boards to try and find out what they could do differently or how they want to do it. Jebediah, of course, being the lead pilot for Draxx, is pressing for a manned mission. But in the meantime, the Aries Corporation has moved on with their design, which is this, to launch a orbital space station to help prepare for future missions. Now we're going to go ahead and adjust here. Jebediah is not going on that. Bill is our primary man here. So Bill will be manning that, and let's go get him a crew member to go with him. So we will have him go with so we need an engineer, so we will go ahead and take Zelty Kerbin. She will, of course, be the co-pilot, though neither of them are pilots. She will be filling the second seat in our primary control can. And let's go ahead and get this off to the runway. Now this is an extremely heavy station that's been pre-built. And is designed for future expansion, but they've gone ahead and added automated features to help with the lack of an actual pilot. So let's get this all set. Now, of course, as you know, Bill Kerbin was one of the chief founders for the mission plan that Aries is following of providing enough infrastructure to support future space missions, especially the manned missions that Aries has planned. Now, since we've gone ahead and thrown a mech jeb on here, I'm actually going to, because I don't really want to screw this up, I'm going to set off my ascent guidance, and we want to do an orbital altitude of 200 kilometers. With no inclination, and we'll see how this goes. I may do it by hand, but we'll see here. Corrective steering. Let's see here. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this started. Launch. Okay. Okay. Why is it not launching? Why are you not launching? What is wrong with this thing? Got plenty of fuel. There we go. And it's away. Going up at... Let's back that off so we don't have to listen to so much of the noise. It is away and heading up, hopefully to a orbital altitude of 200 kilometers. But we shall see if this is enough. Now, when I launched this in my testing on 0.2, 1.0.2, it was capable of getting into orbit just on the booster pack that is here. So we will see if this is enough to get it up into its orbital flight. We'll see if MechJeb can work with this much weight. Although it's not looking like it's going to be good, because already we're almost halfway through our fuel, and it is not looking the greatest. I think that we may have to restart this one in order for it to function without the mech jet, because this does not bode all that well. Let's hope, because it needs to get a really high orbital flight before it's going to be able to do anything. And there we have, the center engine is already cut out as it was burning fuel for everybody, but the outer engines are doing their job. Now we're picking up some speed, but we're still in the middle atmosphere. Hopefully that won't damage the ship as it goes up, because we are still working with a fairly fragile system here. It is an orbital station, but it doesn't look like MechJet's having all that much fun here. Let's go ahead and turn on our thermal view. Nothing appears to be, well, the engines appear to be heating up, but nothing appears to be overly heated at this point. So that's the good news. Now again, the major part is going to be this middle section here, which has enough fuel and thrust to easily move the station module around. But we want to get this main ring into orbit fairly cleanly. And this first primary ascent stage appears to be doing well enough, but I don't know how much longer it's going to last. As you can see, we've got currently an apoapsis height that has reached 32 kilometers, so we're not even getting to an orbital trajectory yet. We're still suborbital, and we've almost lost the primary ascent stage. So let's hope that there'll be enough in the orbital stage. And oh, we're getting heating effects. We're getting lots of heating effects on that leading edge, so hopefully nothing will get damaged. We can only hope that we've built this correctly. And it's now passing an apoapsis of 47, 48, 49. We may actually get our full apoapsis out of this, but I don't think so. I think we're going to be a little bit short. Fortunately, this middle section, the second stage, was designed to carry the system fully into its orbit. We are getting up above the secondary, the upper atmosphere. There is still quite a bit of heating going on, which is alarming to see this flaming ring as it ascends. Hopefully we will be able to do something about that. Perhaps we should have put a fairing over the top to deflect some of the heat. Okay, so we've gotten to, and there goes the primary stage. And now we've got our secondary stage going. This should be able to push us much easier into our orbital trajectory. This one does have a considerably better fuel profile, and there we can see the heating effects are starting to dissipate as we're starting to get well above the effects of air resistance. Now it is pushing us up to our desired altitude. Hopefully we will have enough speed to get this out into its desired flight path. And I do see that our apoapsis is coming up. We're about to reach 150. Okay, and that is, of course, bringing us almost to our desired altitude. Let's see how well MechJeb has done its homework here. Okay, the engines are cutting off at about half power. And now it's going to go ahead and advance itself to its necessary orbital position. Turn the RCS on. Let it prepare. Yep, now it's time warping. Hopefully we will have enough of a flight position. And again, this station is designed to be a refueling and processing station for Aries Corp, but they have made it as a commercially available system so that when they get everything set up, they will of course provide refueling services and processing services for the other corporations so that they too can benefit from Aries' foresight in placing a strong orbital satellite or orbital station into position. And now this station has enough room for a virtual ton of Kerbals, with a total of 8 hitchhiker cans on each side of the ring, for a total of 24 hitchhiker cans, with 6 Kerbins apiece plus the 2 that are in the command node, which makes this to be a very, very useful station for loading and offloading personnel. So let's go ahead, and here it goes with the circularization burn. A good 200 kilometer altitude is what we're looking for, and it looks like it's going to easily have enough fuel to circularize that orbit. And there we have it. It looks like we've got a almost perfectly 200 kilometer orbit with only a slight deviation. Now of course we're going to pull this so that the unit is okay. Let's go ahead and disengage the guidance. Put MechJeb away. Alright, so we need to bring this around. And as you can see, the RCS is not all that powerful on this system, so we may be burning quite a bit of RCS, but it does have a fairly large supply, and we're actually burning the wrong way. So let's go ahead, turn on the SAS and tell it that we want it to be in normal position. Rather than the anti-normal, because we want to have this facing cleanly north-south, just so that we have a ring that is perfectly in alignment. Of course, we are punching through a fair bit of RCS, but again, the RCS on this is really designed purely as a system to allow for this to remain in its stable orbit. It was actually supposed to eject that last stage there at the end, but there's so much fuel left in it that it's too much of an advantage to retain that fuel, and it would be such a waste that, of course, Bill has decided to keep that section attached once the station is in its permanent position, so that they can use that fuel reserve prior to expending the onboard fuel that the station is designed to retain, which is primarily that central fuel tank. And of course you can see the processing units built into it that will allow it to process any ore that is brought back to the station for refueling. And of course here we go, getting it into normal position. It's finishing up its lineup. But this has been quite the success for Bill and for Zelty. They will, of course, remain on the station as its primary crew in order to keep the station running at optimal conditions. Now we're going to go ahead and rotate this to bring the rotation back. So we want to equalize this. Alright, and then slowing that turn down. And equalizing it. Okay. Station is now in a perfectly aligned position. And of course, with the completion of the mission and success, Bill is going to go ahead and deploy half of the primary solar panels to help. Oh, we still got a bit of a roll there. Bill's going to try and zero out that roll. And we're going to deploy the solar panels. Now they can't deploy the lower solar panels because they are in line with this component here, which would damage those solar panels. So they do have to wait on that little bit of addition to call the mission 100% complete. But the added fuel that's still sitting in the reserve of the main part of this of that section is more than enough to allow them to accept the minor difficulties of not being able to pull up all the panels. So that will be the end of this flight. Of course, as you can see, our Kerbals are extremely excited by the success of this mission. And there's Zelty looking around the cockpit. And let's go ahead and have a look from Bill's perspective. Bill does not actually have a view of much of anything. Oh, he can see the station. So he's... oh, it's just that he's got nothing to look at here, that he's sort of just paying a good attention to everything that's going on. And you can see the panel and the darkness of Kerbin ahead of him. That he is... there's nothing really to see, so he's got a lot of glare. But that will go ahead and end this flight. Please stay tuned for additional missions as the Conflicted Space continues, and hopefully it will not be too long before everybody's got missions going. In the meantime, let's go ahead and jump back and get everything set up. Until then, I will catch you on the flip side.